count on LEX 18 News.
I'm Evelyn Schultz, and today at noon, the long holiday weekend is bringing more travelers to the roads.
It's definitely better here. We always try to get gas in Kentucky.
A look at how drivers are saving money on gas in the Commonwealth. Plus, the Israel Labor Court rules a nationwide strike must end. How the strike is playing a role in ending the war with Hamas. And on this Labor Day, Vice President Kamala Harris and her running mate are on the campaign trail, while former President Donald Trump fires back after being criticized for his visit to Arlington Cemetery. LEX 18 News at noon starts now. The holiday weekend is coming to a close, and drivers are finding a nice surprise as they fill up for their trips home. LEX 18's Andrew Lamparski is taking a look at just how much you could be saving at the gas pump this Labor Day.
It's a welcome way to end this record-breaking Labor Day weekend for travelers as drivers here in central Kentucky notice falling gas prices. This gas station here on the north side of Lexington, prices are dipping below $3.
AAA reports the average price for a regular gallon of fuel in Kentucky is just $3.04 this Labor Day. Compare that to last year, and it's a 45-cent drop. Kentucky reached record high prices just 2 summers ago, climbing to almost $5 a gallon. Today, travelers from in and out of the state are taking a sigh of relief.
We both work from home, so we don't travel a whole lot or use a lot of gas, but when we travel, you definitely notice that it's better now.
It makes car travel even less expensive than air travel when the gas prices are coming down.
As prices drop, this holiday weekend is expected to set a new record for the most traveled Labor Day in history. AAA reporting a nearly 10% increase in the number of people heading on a trip compared to 2023.
We'll have a full report on the way gas prices are trending across the state tonight at 6 on LEX 18. In Lexington, Andrew Lamparski, LEX 18 News.
Andrew, thank you. For anyone who's traveling, today is a good one to hit the roads. Here's meteorologist Tom Ackerman with how the afternoon is shaping up. Hey, Tom.
Yeah, quite a turnaround when you consider how we spent most of your Labor Day weekend. Hot, steamy. Last week we were breaking or at least tying record highs in spots. We had those storms over the weekend, and now all of a sudden here on Labor Day, it is beautiful out there. The second cold front came through late in the weekend, and it has set us up for a much drier, more comfortable air mass and a cooler setup. And of course, no precipitation, no showers, no severe storms, no heavy rain, local heavy rain to contend with. It's all pushed off toward the coast. So the max track is clear. The LEX 18 Storm Tracker Future Track for this afternoon. Loads of sunshine and a continued north to northeasterly wind, and very little heading our way over the next couple of days. There is a rain chance this week. It's still days away. We'll check that out in your 8-day forecast. But check out the temperatures. I mean, it's noon and we're just getting into the low to mid 70s. What a turnaround and what a cool down. We've got a number of cooler air masses coming our way as we get into early, even mid-September. We're also going to talk about that. But at least in the short term, from Labor Day on, a slow but, gradual warming trend. It's not going to be that much. We'll make it up to around our normal high by midweek. We'll talk about the rain chance, what the upcoming weekend's looking like. Get that complete 8-day storm tracker forecast coming up for you.
All right, Tom, thank you. We'll check back in with you soon. 2 shootings happened in Lexington over the weekend. The first one was on Malibu Drive after 11:30 Saturday night. Police say one man was sent to the hospital and is expected to be okay. Police are still looking for the shooter. The second shooting happened around 2:15 yesterday morning on South Limestone. Police say 2 people were hurt but are expected to be okay. Officials say the shooter left the scene before officers got there. If you have any information about either case, contact Lexington Police. A 17-year-old Lexington boy who had a rare genetic disorder called progeria has died. According to the senior minister of South Elkhorn Christian Church, Zach Picker died peacefully yesterday morning. Over the years, his family did fundraisers for progeria research. Progeria is a disorder that attacks its victims much like old age, with osteoporosis, heart disease, and other ailments. Progeria kids are rare, fewer than 200 in the world. Visitation for Pickard will be at South Elkhorn Christian Church on Friday, September 6th from 6 to 9 that night. The funeral service will be on Saturday at 11 in the morning. Changes could be coming soon for students who rely on interpreters in the classroom. The Educational Interpreter Performance Assessment, known as EIPA, is one of 3 certified exams to becoming an interpreter. It allows interpreters to work with kids from kindergarten through 12th grade. But a proposed title adjustment could remove it from the recertification process when an interpreter needs to renew their license. Jessica Meek says an interpreter has made a big difference in her daughter's education.
If she goes any time without an interpreter, that's a problem. She's not going to be able to learn. She's not going to be able to keep up. Her language progression is going to regress. And then even if they do get a new interpreter, the time it's going to take for her to build that trust, build that relationship to where she could be herself and be perceptive it's going to take time, and I just don't want her to get behind.
Several other national programs are listed in the proposed changes as replacements for the continued learning classes. Boys Town runs the EIPA program. We've reached out to them about this issue and have not yet heard back. Israel's labor court has ruled a nationwide strike that began this morning in Israel must end. The country's biggest union vowed to shut down the economy in a furious push for the government to agree to a ceasefire deal after the deaths of 6 hostages taken during Hamas's October 7th terror attack. Matt Bradley has the latest from Tel Aviv.
Well, this was supposed to be the day that brought the Israeli government, the Israeli public to its knees. There was supposed to be a nationwide strike lasting all day, shutting down the airport, snarling up civil services. Instead, we got, some complications. But as you can hear, there's still a lot of construction work going on. I can see the traffic is circulating as normal. Ben Gurion International Airport was more or less operating as normal with a couple complications. And even just now, we heard that a court has ruled that all of these strikes must end. So it looks as though this was mostly symbolic, but that is still a very forceful expression to the government, alongside what we saw last night, the hundreds of thousands of people descending into the streets here in Tel Aviv and in Jerusalem and in other cities like Haifa, snarling up public squares and traffic circles, demanding that the government come to some sort of deal to release those remaining hostages in the Gaza Strip. Now, what sparked all of this outrage? It was the murder of 6 young people, all of them 40 and under, in the Gaza Strip, and the grisly discovery of their bodies by the IDF over the weekend. This has caused so much anger in this country, not just against Hamas, but also against Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Folks here are demanding that the government come to a deal, compromise with Hamas to release those remaining hostages. Now, we haven't heard exactly what's going to be happening next with these negotiations. It's unclear whether this forceful expression of rage is going to make any political change, but we'll know more about that in the coming days and weeks. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Now to the presidential race. Vice President Kamala Harris is ramping up her attacks on Donald Trump by wading into the controversy over his trip to Arlington National Cemetery last week. Gabe Gutierrez has the latest.
64 days until the election, the Harris campaign is ramping up a battleground blitz, including a rare joint event with President Biden later today in Pennsylvania after a stop in Michigan. Harris's running mate, Governor Tim Walz, heading to another crucial swing state, Wisconsin. Recent polling shows Vice President Harris doing better than former President Trump nationally and in key battlegrounds by a handful of points, but within the margin of error. Compare that with polling that mostly showed Trump with a narrow edge before Biden's departure from the race. But still, Harris has not seen much of a polling bump from the Democratic National Convention. Former President Trump is hoping to benefit in the polls from an updated indictment in the federal election interference case against him and defended his actions in an interview released overnight.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
Harris now on offense, slamming Trump for disrespecting sacred ground, all for the sake of a political stunt. Her first time weighing in on the controversy over the former president's visit to Arlington National Cemetery. The Trump campaign posted this highlight video on TikTok, showing him laying a wreath in honor of the service members killed during the chaotic military withdrawal from Afghanistan. A cemetery spokesperson said federal law prohibits campaign-related activities there. But the former president posting a series of videos from Gold Star families criticizing the Biden administration.
You couldn't be bothered to be with us or even say our kids' names.
And Republicans are criticizing the president and vice president for not being at the event.
You know who the family's also invited? Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Where were they? Joe Biden was sitting at a beach. Kamala Harris was sitting at her mansion in Washington, D.C.
A White House official and a Harris aide deny the president or vice president were ever invited.
LEX 18 has teamed up with the Scripps Howard Fund for the If You Give a Child a Book program. A donation of just $6 will get a book into the hands of a deserving child in our area. Hover your smartphone over the QR code on your screen to donate. You can also text LEXGIVE to 50155 to make a donation. Thank you in advance for your support. Coming up, almost every state has a library dedicated to getting the tools you need for home improvement.
So the tool library is really like the coolest neighbor that you could possibly know, who has like almost every single tool that you could ever need.
How the library became a budget-friendly tool for many people. That story is coming up after your complete Storm Tracker forecast. Let's check those lottery jackpots. The Mega Millions jackpot is all the way up to $681 million. The Powerball jackpot is $80 million.